can get an estimate of where this next leg will go. That next leg for gold is about 8,600 based on that
Okay.
full cycle.
That's fine. I'll take it.
The daily chart and the weekly chart are actually pointing to gold potentially coming all the way down to about 3,500, which is the breakout point. These chart patterns, obviously parabolic spikes, end up with a very sharp pullback. And so now it needs to stabilize. And the question is, how long will it take to stabilize? So silver, if it has put in a bottom already over the past, like last month, then the upside target's around 172, which is pretty exciting. If silver pulls back, potentially the technicals are actually showing a pullback all the way to, on the daily and the weekly chart, all the way down to about $40 an ounce. So, oh my gosh, this is like trying to break out, and when it breaks out, it is just going to go absolutely ballistic. So as boring as it was the longer something trades sideways, the bigger the potential move afterward.
I mean, if they printed $5 trillion to the Fed's balance sheet in 2020, what do you think they're going to do this time?
Sloping up and prices above it, you're in a bullish environment. Gold and silver is, we may see several more months of potentially sideways, or it might drift lower for a while. And, you know, every bar here is 30 days. So we could easily see 3-6 months just vaporize and just kind of as time figures itself out. The chart pattern, the trends are still up, but there's no doubt short-term wise, it is clearly in a downtrend. And we just need to let that downtrend work itself out before it stabilizes and then builds a launch pad to go up. So, you know, the precious metals pocket, that space, it's had a huge move. It's had its excitement for a while. And now we just need to let time do its thing, let the charts heal and build a new launch pad. Because at some point we're going to see, you know, another big move to the upside. Like we've got the low back in 2015, 2016. And based on this super cycle that's at play, depending where gold pulls back, we can get an estimate of where this next leg will go. That next leg for gold is about 8,600 based on that full cycle.
That's fine. I'll take it.
Yeah, I think it's beautiful. The short-term charts, like the daily chart and the weekly chart, are actually pointing to gold potentially coming all the way down to about 3,500, which is the breakout point just where everything went into that euphoric phase. You and I talked about this in our last talk early April.
If gold drifts sideways for another 3 to 6 months, most investors will abandon positions right before the real move begins. Gold volatility has compressed after a euphoric run, a setup that historically precedes expansion phases. Chris Vermeulen's analysis highlights a short-term downtrend inside a larger bullish cycle, which is exactly where weak hands get flushed out. That projected move toward 3,500 isn't failure. It's positioning before a larger leg higher. Next, Chris Vermeulen reveals why this dead zone phase is where institutional accumulation quietly accelerates.
So if gold does fade down over the next several months and sell off potentially with the equities market at some point, then the target comes to about 8,000. But either way, there's a lot of upside potential. But the chart has to put in its time to build a new launch pad, turn a corner, and start to head higher and go from there. So I think there's a lot of potential in gold to hopefully pick it up, add to the stacks at a lower pile, at a lower level, and then be able to catch that next big rally going forward.
Chris, don't you realize it's 2026? I want this to happen next week.
Yeah.
Now what, how things go, you're supposed to double your money in a month and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
We held on. I mean, it was a long journey in the desert. You point that out in 15 and 16, and even 21 and 22 were not much fun.
No.
But the trend is higher. And if you believe in what's going on, if you believe in the devaluation of fiat currency, then buy the dip, for crying in a bucket. Yeah. Again, if the nice people at Sprott Money will be happy to help you to do that. I would imagine you see similar things in the charts of silver and the GDX. Yes?
Yes, for sure. They're obviously just more volatile percentage-wise, but they are all the same trade. They typically all rally together. They all sell off together, so people can just mix between them all and try and get the best average return on them. When we look at this monthly chart, well, we'll just zoom way back in time. Everybody has seen these chart patterns. Obviously, parabolic spikes end up with a very sharp pullback, and so now it needs to stabilize. And the question is, how long will it take to stabilize? But overall, the chart of silver, I mean, just based on the current price action, the low was in 2020 where it actually put in a peak, a significant trough there. we can get a gauge of where some of these upside targets are for
It's gonna be a
silver.
fun one.
Yeah, so silver, if it has put in a bottom already over the past, like last month, then the upside target's around 172.
Okay.
Now, which is pretty exciting. If silver pulls back, potentially the technicals are actually showing a pullback all the way to on the daily and the weekly chart, all the way down to about $40 an ounce. So if it
Oof.
flushes down, gold and silver sell off. That will probably mean obviously the equities markets are selling off in a big way. The dollar's probably rallying. So we have mass outflow of selling of assets plus a strong dollar. That could send silver sharply lower. And if it comes all the way down there, then the next upside target is about 151, which is still pretty amazing price going forward. But again, we have to let the metals figure out what they want to do. Are they going to build a tight launch pad here and just take off and hit those upper targets?
This pattern, parabolic spike followed by sharp cooling, has historically shown up months before cross-asset sell-offs. Silver's potential drop toward $40 aligns with dollar strength cycles that typically pressure commodities. According to Chris Vermeulen, metals, miners, and equities often move together during liquidity stress, not independently as many assume. That means a silver pullback isn't isolated. It's a timing signal for broader risk-off conditions. Investors ignoring that link risk, getting caught on the wrong side of the cycle. Next, Chris Vermeulen reveals the timing window when that pressure flips into explosive upside.
Or are they going to flounder and go under some more pressure before they find a base, build a base, and start to go higher? So that's kind of the big picture when it comes to silver. And so the sweet spot really in metals to me is, it's got this big volatility range. Gold is doing the same. If we pull up miners, they're pretty much the same as well.
Hmm.
They're in a territory right now where I don't really want to touch them. I just want to
Yeah.
let them unfold, let them build a launch pad here, reset. And then once it starts to show a new confirmed uptrend, a new major bull market starting, then you can jump on and get a little more greedy in terms of putting some good position size, catch another one of these explosive moves to the upside. So, gold, you kind of mentioned back 2022. If we zoom back over here, we saw in 2020 gold and traded sideways and kind of traded sideways for several years. It
Yeah.
was pretty boring. But when we look back at the chart, we're like, oh my gosh, this is like trying to break out. And when it breaks out, it is just going to go absolutely ballistic. So as boring as it was the longer something trades sideways, the bigger the potential move afterwards. And I just remember when this started to break out, how exciting it was. And
Hmm.
I mean, now that move's come to an end, and now we need the markets to do something like this.
The longer gold stays stagnant, the more portfolios bleed through opportunity costs rather than outright losses. Multi-year consolidation phases have historically produced the largest breakouts, but only after exhausting investor patience. What Chris Vermeulen is signaling here is that confirmation matters more than anticipation in this phase. Entering too early ties up capital, while other sectors outperform, creating hidden portfolio drag. The real risk isn't missing the bottom, it's being fully invested during dead money cycles. Next, Chris Vermeulen exposes why patience often outperforms aggressive positioning in these setups.
Put in a pause or put in like a bull flag where it potentially trades sideways for who knows? I mean, many months, I think. And then when it starts to turn up, I mean, it's going to be like game on again and exciting phase. If this has a very, very strong bullish chart pattern, we're going to get another one of these, which is
Yeah.
really exciting versus
Yeah.
something that sells way off and then takes forever to rally back. It won't quite have the same momentum. So we all should be thinking and hoping for a tight pattern here because it'll mean an explosive big leg like this again. We don't really want it to go down from that regard because people want action like now.
Yeah.
So the tighter the pattern here, the quicker the reaction we're going to get out of it. But if it flounders down to 3,500, it's going to be a much slower climb and
It's
not
a
quite
long
as
ways back
exciting.
up. Yeah, I mean, it's 60% back up to get to the highs. And for skeptics out there, fundamentally, if you think this all turns into some kind of demand-driven global recession and liquidity squeeze, how do you think the central banks are going to respond? I mean, if they printed 5 trillion to the Fed's balance sheet in 2020, what do you think they're going to do this time?
I know.
So there's a fundamental basis as to how we can get to 8,500. But Chris, in the short term, obviously we've got headline risk and geopolitical risk and everything that
Yep.
goes with it. I want to close with just picking your brain from a technical standpoint. In the midst of all of the central bank selling and everything else that we saw in the middle of March.
Central banks claim stability while preparing the exact liquidity injections that fuel gold's next rally. The $5 trillion expansion in 2020 wasn't a one-off. It set precedent for crisis response. Chris Vermeulen's read on this structure suggests a tight consolidation, not distribution, which signals institutions are holding rather than exiting. That distinction matters because accumulation phases happen quietly before policy shifts become public. Investors waiting for confirmation from headlines will already be late. Next, Chris Vermeulen reveals what central bank behavior is quietly signaling beneath the surface.
Gold went down, I think it was March the 23rd, and briefly violated its 200-day moving average.
Yep.
And then boing, went straight back up. Silver and the GDX did not make it down to their respective 200-day moving averages. But those levels have continued to climb, and now price is rolling back over. How important of a signal in your mind is that 200-day? And should we bounce or break it if we do head back there?
Yeah, so I don't follow the 200-day. I do use
Okay.
the 150-day, which is very similar.
Okay.
It just reacts a little bit quicker. Let me pull the chart up here so you can see this. So if we take a look, the green line on my chart here, this is the 150-day, which is very similar to the 200.
Yep, there you go.
And so, yeah, we came all the way down. The 200-day was like right down at this wick low. So that's the one you hit. It bounced off there, and then now it's rolling back over. To me, the 150-day is a very powerful tool. Usually, when it's sloping up and prices above it, you're in a bullish environment. When it is like rolling over, sloping down and prices below it, you're in a bearish environment. A really good example of that is actually just take a look at the Bitcoin chart. If we look at the Bitcoin chart, you've got the green moving average sloping up, and price is a series of bull flags, and then suddenly price breaks below it and it's a series of bear flags.
This exact moving average rollover has appeared just before every major metals correction since 2018, and it's flashing again now. What Chris Vermeulen is signaling here is that the 150-day isn't just support, it's a regime switch indicator institutions quietly track. When price briefly reclaimed it, then failed, that's not strength, it's rejection. For investors, this means trend instability where rallies fade fast, trapping dip buyers. Next, Chris Vermeulen reveals why this bounce then roll pattern often precedes a deeper liquidity-driven flush.
And so, when we look at gold from that perspective, gold is still trending up. The moving averages are moving up. It is having a big correction and pullback. This you could argue very easily, this is a giant potential bull flag forming right here.
Yeah.
And when it hooks up or when it finds support and starts to rally, I mean, it is going to be off to the races. And that's based on this. If gold finds support and actually starts to move higher and say breaks this high around 4,900 or starts to close around 5,000, we could be off to 8,800. That's what this chart is pointing to. So that's what we need to wait right now. We just need to wait and see, is this a top and we're still going about 20% lower? Or is this a tight bull flag and it's going to hook up here in the next month or two and then be off to the races because chaos hits, or who knows what will help spark that. So that's just where we are in the precious metal space. It's going down, it's highly volatile, it's somewhat trendless from a trader standpoint. And to me, the money flow right now is in equities. People are excited. It's kind of a resurgence of AI excitement. Semiconductors are leading the way. Of course, it doesn't matter how well a company does. An AI company, they're still going to need the equipment, which is like the semiconductors, right? They're the core of it. So, precious metals are on the sidelines. We just have to wait.
Equities are absorbing capital while gold corrects, and that rotation has preceded every major metals breakout by 2 to 4 months historically. According to Chris Vermeulen, this structure could be a bull flag, but institutions aren't acting like it yet. Capital is chasing AI and semiconductors, not hedging risk, which suggests confidence is still artificially high. For portfolios, that delay means metals remain dead money until liquidity stress forces reallocation. Next, Chris Vermeulen exposes the trigger event that flips institutional money back into gold almost overnight.
Every month, you and I update. We just have to wait until these monthly major trends kick into an uptrend, and then it's like start stacking and riding that higher, right? It's just a matter of time, really.
In the meantime, back to the daily chart there, just real quick, Chris. That 150-day moving average that gold tapped a month ago and then bounced. Looked to me, to my eye, that's about where we are right now. Can you zoom in on that thing and tell us, what is that level? It's like right now, isn't it?
Yeah, we're right at the 150 day. So we're pretty much right at it at 45, $4,575, $4,500 is kind of that critical level.
Okay.
But I think one of the key things when you go to a long-term moving average, I think it's any moving average, you do have to give it a lot of wiggle room. I'm not a big fan of dead on. I'm like, it just needs to pierce through it or trade near it. There's kind of a range. It's kind of a zone where it should find support. But there's no doubt we're right on the cusp there of finding support. And when we zoom in a little bit more, the moving averages are pretty bearish. We have the 50-day moving down. We have the pink, which is the 20-day, and the 5-day below it, and prices below all of those. So we are actually in a downtrend with gold.
If gold loses this $4,500 zone decisively, most portfolios exposed to metals face a fast 10 to 20% drawdown. Chris Vermeulen's analysis suggests this isn't just a test of support. It's a clustering of bearish signals across multiple timeframes. When price sits below the 5, 20, and 50 days simultaneously, short-term momentum funds typically accelerate selling. That creates downside pressure retail investors rarely anticipate. For long-term holders, this isn't panic, but it is a warning face. Next, Chris Vermeulen reveals why support zones often fail right before major upside cycles begin.
And based on this chart pattern, I mean, people don't really want to hear this, but based on this chart pattern and using the Fibonacci sequence here, the next move down in gold actually does bring us down to like 35, 3,600. That's where this sell-off and move is pointing to, which I think is going to shock a ton of people who don't follow technicals and who follow fundamentals, because fundamentally gold and silver should be like keep going higher and higher. Like every year is the perfect storm for metals to keep going up. But I have learned that it doesn't matter what the news or the fundamentals are, price still has a mind of its own. It's still driven by supply and demand, and so that's that's what trumps the fundamentals most of the time.
And there are trading machines that follow all that stuff.
For sure.
And so it kind of becomes self-reinforcing. And as I've told people, I mean, gold fell $1,000 in March because the yield curve shifted up 50 basis points, the dollar rallied 3 points, and Turkey dumped 100 metric tons.
Yeah.
If that happens again in May,
look out.
okay. I mean, there's not much we can do about it.
The perfect storm for gold narrative collapses the moment price targets $3,500 while fundamentals supposedly improve. What Chris Vermeulen highlights here is that supply shocks and dollar strength, not macro fear, drove a $1,000 drop in weeks. That contradicts the safe haven story retail clings to. When machines and flows dominate, fundamentals become justification after the move, not the cause. For investors, this means emotional conviction can blind you during technical breakdowns.